What does this award mean to you?
Well, I mean, the fact that I direct, I do makeup, special effects.
He dressed up as Donald Sutherland from Animal House, which I think was an awesome choice.
Yes, and sort of got a modified James Hetfield going on.
I think we've sort of nerded out more than anybody else.
Yeah,
in the entire
we keep on looking
audience.
at each other with every clip.
My first Saturn Awards was watching when they had Hills Have Eyes, and they televised it. So that was probably 1980. It was a long time ago. So I've been a Saturn Award fan for years and years. So this is exciting because this is my fourth or fifth opportunity to come and hang with the fans and celebrate what we'd love to do.
And last year, Greg, meaning me, was honored by the Saturn Awards. And Scott couldn't make it, so I got to watch. Oh boy,
No,
it gets
you
very
fucked it
confusing.
up. It's all- you fucked it up.
All I know is I've heard about the Saturn Awards my whole life. Last year was my first one, and I would read about it when I was a kid in stuff like the Comics Buyer's Guide, and it's so much better than even what I imagined.
Yeah.
It is one of the funniest award shows around. I don't know if it's because nerds are comedy nerds too.
Because we get all the jokes, that's why. When they talk about Battlestar Galactica and Knight Rider, we're like, oh yeah, I remember that.
And we're sitting there like kind of going down memory. I mean, even when Dawn Wells came out, which is maybe not the hardest genre thing in the world, but still, oh my God, that was so cool. But to see people like Glenn Larson honored is so exciting. Because personally, it's one of the reasons why I'm here. So
listen, our childhood is played out in the Saturn Awards, and the fact that people that grew up watching these shows now get to participate in creating them, that's it. I mean, that's the bottom line. And for me, having been at the awards and having had Guillermo del Toro and David Naughton and people present me awards, they're people that I admire when I was younger and I grew up watching. So the fact that we get to celebrate our childhood and the things that inspired us and stand on stage and talk about Leonard Nimoy and talk about Glenn Larson and see this stuff celebrated, it's the greatest opportunity, and it's a great night.
So you did everything from like Day of the Dead through a couple of Freddy's, The Predator, everything like that. But working on a show where you're doing zombie effects week to week, what new things does that allow you to do that you can never do in isolated event movies like that?
I'll tell you, the fascinating thing is the stuff that we do on The Walking Dead, we couldn't even do it on Land of the Dead because we had an R rating. And I remember growing up when Dawn of the Dead came out, they would not show a preview for the movie until after 11 o'clock because the subject matter was so taboo. It would say under 17 not admitted. That was it. It was like an X-rated film. So you'd have to stay up till after 11 o'clock just to watch a preview for Dawn of the Dead, let alone the actual movie. And they would edit it and cut it as it circulated the nation. So the fact that on The Walking Dead on AMC, we're able to do whatever we want. The network really doesn't step in. There may be one or two blood spurts too many, and usually Scott and I will sort of add an extra few frames in at the end, and nobody will ever notice. But it's astounding if you think about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Night of the Living Dead, and those movies that people, they were taboo. I mean, they changed, even The Exorcist. You know, people were vomiting as they ran out of the movie theater when they were watching those films. And now we're doing stuff on television that they couldn't even do 10 years ago. So it's a tribute to what the writers and what Scott creates. And we constantly push the envelope. I mean, Frank Darabont and I, in season 1, it was Night of the Living Dead was sort of our holy grail. And we were striving to make something as meaningful as that material. And I think that 6 years in, not only do we continue to do it, but we do it better. And it gets harder every year, but we don't back down. I feel like we're stripped. Our skeletons are stripped of every emotion because we try so hard to just keep the show fresh and keep the show original. And the fact that the fans still love it, that's...
And this year we're pushing harder than ever. We're doing some really different things.
In season 6.
In season 6, we're attacking story different ways. We're playing with structure.
Bold. Listen, very, very bold moves. You know, I mean, Scott has written the season premiere, and I've directed the season premieres of the last 2 years and this one. And what I love about what we're doing in the season premiere of this one is it's bold, and we want our audience to think, and they get to put together the puzzle that we are presenting to them, knowing that by the end of the episode that they will have arrived at the conclusion that we want them to arrive. You don't want to just keep feeding them the same thing over and over again. We want to really, so we're taking bold moves, and they're risky, but we wouldn't do it any other way.
And the ambition goes beyond that to the scope, to the scale. If Greg looks tired, that's
because I am.
Is because of the things that we are doing, especially in these first 3 episodes. I'm really surprised he hasn't killed me yet.
Any inspiration? Anything you can tell us about the teaser poster that just came out this week?
I haven't seen the teaser poster.
The Comic-Con
with
poster.
Morgan.
Oh. I didn't even know it came out yet.
Well, it sounds like you told us something.
Any aspiration for where you want to see in the show that is something that is cutting edge and would not be shown, like you said before?
Ask one more time.
Just anything that you are aspiring to really show in this media, in this format.
Well, I mean, we have something that is kind of unusual in the history of television. It's not unheard of, but it's unusual, which is people going through horror week after week for 6 years now, and the cumulative effects of these characters that we know, and not just in horror, but in emotion in every way, building upon these characters that we know, changing them. Carol is not the person that we started with. That world has formed her into an entirely different person, and her journey is continuing to evolve, as is all of these characters.
Without the emotional fatigue.
Without the emotional fatigue, because the situation that they find themselves in, it's not the same old every day, and it is heightening, and things are getting even more loaded, and I don't know, we can't wait for you to see it.
What has been your
Thank you.
absolute favorite zombie that you've done?
Favorite zombie? I don't know. They change. They change. You know, I mean, this season alone.
What's the favorite zombie you've been?
I was a zombie already this season. That was kind of fun.
Surprised me with.
Which you didn't even. Scott didn't even know I was going to be a
I got
walker.
cell phone pictures, and I was like,
He's like, "Is that you?"
So
I looked like a Scooby-Doo villain, but it was kind of fun.
the best damn Scooby-Doo villain you'd ever see.
The ones on fire were like just,
Which he
those
wrote.
were iconic.
Well, which he did. It's much easier to write them than to do them.
Well, and you know what was fun about that was that came about basically an idea that I had. We wanted to do melted zombies in a pit in season 3. And it was something that we shot at second unit. I shot a couple shots of like basically a pile of melted bodies. And Scott called me for season 4 and said, "Do you think that we overdid the melted burned zombies?" I said, "No, we really only saw 1 or 2 shots." So when we did the Grove episode, he wrote an entire sequence about.
Well, my reaction to your reaction was good.
Good, yeah, good, because I have a whole thing.
Has 3D printing affected any of the way you do makeup? Have you implemented that into any of your makeup effects?
Not really, because everything's sculpted. Everything's sculpted from. I like actually people with sculpting tools. Oh, we gotta go. We have to go take a picture.
Thank you.